confirmed as of now. That appears to be working.
I think it's working.
What's that documentary with Woody Harrelson in it? The one who didn't fuck his stepdaughter?
Seamless introduction. Just got the fucking mic on.
It's called Ethos, starring Woody Harrelson.
We were talking about this fucking documentary. God damn it. We were talking about it, and we forgot the name, and we determined that we'd look it up by the time we got the show started. We watched it when we were kids. I don't even remember if it was any good. I remember it being moving at the time, but who knows? Maybe it had some fucking zeitgeist-style connections in there that didn't really hold water. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think it did, but I also think a lot of the main points is we just kind of, like, ran through it. I think a lot of the main points of the documentary were, like, good.
Yeah, well, because it was about consumerism and about politics and about political theater and all sorts of shit. And the main, and like I remember because we just looked at the very end of it, and like the main takeaway was that like you hold the power by voting with your dollars and shit like that, and it was kind of tone deaf to the fact that like poverty exists and sometimes you don't get to make those choices, but also like I don't know whether or not they went into detail on any of it because I haven't seen it.
It's
in 10
been years since we watched it, but it was check it out.
Yeah,
check it out and see what you think.
And fucking Ethos. It's for free on YouTube. Again, I'm not endorsing it. I don't remember if it's good. We just remember that it had Woody Harrelson in it, and that Woody Harrelson didn't fuck his stepdaughter. Who was it?
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen fucked his stepdaughter.
And look, fucking your stepdaughter. Hold on, back up. Let me rephrase. People marrying their stepdaughters is not like it is very American.
It is.
It is not. Maybe not even American. I'm just gonna say it's a human thing that needs to be stopped.
It's a gross human thing.
Because like here's the problem, right? It's grooming.
Well, number one.
That's the biggest problem, is that it's grooming.
I think the biggest problem is you fucked your stepdaughter.
Like, no, because he waited until she was like older, right? So technically he has the law on his side there. And then also they're not related, so he has the law on his side there.
I guess.
So where we need to come in with the law is say...
Well,
you can guess, but like if she's 18, the law like backs off completely.
Probably so, yeah. But no, you're right. Grooming is the biggest issue.
Is the issue because and the reason I'm saying that is because this is still like it doesn't matter how you look at it. If it's we're breaking into new ground here. If you raise somebody and then start sleeping with them
for the purpose of fucking like some sort of
that is grooming.
Cattle farm.
You don't get to tell me, over the course of raising this child, we discovered that we love each other.
Right. No.
Go fuck yourself.
You were talking to a fucking 13-year-old with sexual intentions in the future. Like,
even if you didn't know,
right?
You're an adult.
Yeah.
And an adult can manipulate a younger person, whether you even realize you're doing it or not. So it's fucking wrong, and it needs to be stopped.
If at any point you look at an underage person and you're like, someday you need to fucking be put. It's done. It's done for you. You know what I mean? Like you are now in the wrong, no matter what else is happening. It's so fucking weird to think about. You know what I mean? Because we talked about that it wasn't the first episode. I think it was like the second or third with like Billie Eilish when there was like countdown clocks for her turning episode. 18. Yeah, I think it was episode 3.
It doesn't matter.
They were like countdown clocks for her turning 18, and like they were published by like major entertainment organizations and shit that like millions of people watch, and they're all just watching this 17-year-old girl like 24 hours till I can spank it to you. Like, what is that? You know, like who the fuck thinks that's okay? You wouldn't do that to anybody else. If you were doing that to your daughter, your stepdaughter, it would be fucked up. But we do it to fucking these young women who are up there dancing on stage, and we're like, oh, someday you're fucking. I can admit that you're fucking hot, and it's like gross, just gross, gross.
It's one thing to think just a disgusting thought like that, but then if you go out and write like several articles about it, you're doing something fucked up. Ugh. You're playing too much in the fantasy. It's kind of like how one of the things they'll talk about like on LPM when they talk about serial killers and stuff all the time. Serial killers do this thing where they give themselves these little allowances.
Yeah.
And it builds up into becoming what it becomes, right? Like, it's like, oh, well, you know, I was really good today. It's kind of like a cheat day, right?
Yeah,
it's like with food, right? It's like, oh, I was really good today, so I can have this pizza. Only instead, it's like, I've been good for a few weeks, and I didn't kill that one girl.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this time I can kill this one and it's fine.
Right.
And it's shit like that.
All comes out in the wash.
It like goes the same way, it seems like, with some of the I'm gonna go ahead and call it sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Just like it's not that narrowed what I'm talking about, but it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's abuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, grooming a child, no matter what, is fucked up, especially if it's your dependent.
Yeah.
Like if it's your stepdaughter or stepson.
It does add a layer of filth.
Let's
to
go
the
ahead
already,
and go both ways.
up.
Like, yeah, it's already fucked up. So if you cannot fuck your stepchildren.
Yeah. New law. You fucking man, I don't like it. What were we saying?
Woody Harrelson didn't do that.
He did, yeah, and he won an Academy Award for not doing that, for not fucking a stepdaughter.
So anyway, now that all the misinformation is out there,
they recognize. They're like, oh shit, good job for all the stepchildren you didn't fuck. We present you this award.
Yeah, good job, Woody Harrelson.
I had so many opportunities. I didn't take one.
Was always saying, I had so many chances and I didn't do it at all. Thank you for this Academy Award.
Welcome to the podcast. It's this today. We were talking about a lot of things before we began, but we have things that we wanted to cover. We have things that we didn't want to cover, and we're gonna cover probably some of them.
We're gonna cover things.
It's gonna happen. Cover is the word of the day. The couch goes crazy. Secret word. Have a great. Oh fuck, that's the outro. Go. Hey. It's starting now.
Did you just try to say goodbye?
I just tried to say have a good day.
Try to
goodbye.
tell him to have a great day.
I tried to end it
right
before we started
the music comes in and shit.
In my mind, I'm editing videos today, and so in my mind, I'm thinking about how I'm gonna edit this, and I'm like, this is where the music goes, so this is where I say goodbye, right?
How many hours have you been up for?
A lot, too many.
Good.
I woke up this morning, but at what cost?
I got my Altoids and my coffee. And boots on the ground, sir. Boots on the ground.
That's the beginning. It's starting right now. I'm doing this challenge. It's called November.
Lay it on me, bro.
It's where you just try to make it through every day in November, and that's the challenge.
Do you nut?
You do whatever you want to do. You just have to survive November.
If I'm gonna survive.
I'm
gonna nut.
I'm not gonna do it all full of coom.
I made a mistake. I didn't put Do Not Disturb on, so people are disturbing me.
Fuck them.
It's okay, we're gonna fix it right now. Watch the little moon. Boop. Ha ha!
Nice.
Now I'm unreachable. Or as I like to call it, safe.
And now I'm unreachable, both on my phone and emotionally.
I am completely walled off from other humans.
And all it took was a click of a simple button. Buy yours today. Hey, did you know, I was talking about my patrons today, and we were talking about things, and one of the things we talked about was apparently there's like fucking hot dog rules, and there's like national councils on hot dogs and things. And like,
I used to work at a Coney place, remember?
Oh yeah. The delegation from like Chicago refused to like join the National Hot Dog Symposium unless there was like an official rule that like ketchup shouldn't be served to anyone over the age of 13 because it's a child's condiment. And like, I looked it up, and because like Chicago dogs, that's my favorite kind of hot dog. I fucking love them. And I looked it up, and like the top recipe is like on allrecipes.com or something. It's like, these are the ingredients. Make sure you add them in this order and only in this order, and do not add ketchup. And it's like specifically on there. And like apparently this is like a whole cultural thing.
Yeah, so when I worked there was a restaurant that opened up it's gone now because the whole thing, I think, was a tax scheme.
Yeah.
But I helped open some restaurants, and one of them was in the mall, which is where I'm back again now. Woo! This was probably a lot. What was it, like this was around the same time. Let's see, 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
It was right before my daughter was born, basically.
I remember because I was picking you up from work.
And saw me.
Yeah, whenever we were cleaning up my dad's apartment.
That's when. Yeah, it was around the same time. Yeah. So, but we had a Chicago dog on the menu, and it's funny because hearing you say that reminded me that was like part of it.
It had ketchup on it, or it wasn't allowed to have ketchup on it.
No, it said like in parentheses, no ketchup.
Huh.
Yeah, and we did have to make it in order. So, I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I probably messed that up.
There's a whole ceremony.
I probably messed it up a lot. But you know what else we did? We fucking put jalapenos in a blender and then put that into one of those empty ketchup bottles and made jalapeno relish fresh every day. Jalapeno relish.
I like reddish better.
Yeah, jalapeno relish that's a real word. And we would do that. Reddish like your ass. Sorry. My present is my future. Kiss my ass. What? I'm yay. Anyway. I'm yay. So it was dumb. But we got to make hot dogs. But we made that relish. That relish was bomb.
Yeah.
It was so good. Like, we put it on the hot dogs and people started requesting it. And then the place closed. They were like, you guys are going to get to come up with hot dog ideas and stuff. And then they were like, just kidding. We're so stoked.
There's a Bill and Roos not too far from my house that does that. They did like the jalapeno jelly
What's going on with Bill and Ruth's these days?
Yeah,
because it used to be like there was only one ever anywhere. And they didn't do what they do now.
They're franchised.
Yeah, but they're like, it seems like they're
and
rules.
Every single one of them has that same picture of that woman eating a Kronos saying try a gyros or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, try our gyros.
Yeah. And it's all like try a gyros or eat a Kronos, and none of them ever have Kronos. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of. Like, I know what Kronos is, but I don't know what the... Anyway, whole thing is fucking weird, you know?
Yeah.
Just they all have the
Food
same
culture.
pictures. It's like Chinese restaurants that all have the same pictures of the Chinese food on the wall, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they all got them from Google image search.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Well, it's because they're efficient.
Mm.
No, I don't know what it is. There's a lot of reasons for that type of stuff.
Jalapenos are fucking great. I did so I was trying to make a birria, which I'm pretty sure I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I think that's what it is, but it's a really cool way to make tacos, basically. And you make this chili stuff. You boil a bunch of dried chilies with onions and tomatoes and everything else. I'm already in it. And you get this all going, and then you blend that all up and make this sauce, and then you like boil meat hunks in that sauce for like fucking 12 hours until it just falls apart, and then you make tacos out of this goodness. I was trying that, and I ended up just getting really, really, really into dried chilies for a while. So now in my pantry, to this day, I've got these big containers full of fucking arbol chilies and fucking oh god, I forgot how many I have. Tex something else. I have to go check. I'm thinking off the top of my head, and I'm all nervous now that I'm gonna get one of these words wrong, so I don't remember any of them now. But the guajillo chilies or whatever. I've got like 8 different kinds, and I was just fucking any opportunity I had to just throw those bitches in a pot with some fucking tomatoes and some onions and just blend it and boil it and make this goo. I made the best fucking enchiladas out of them. I'm fucking just I'm all into chilies now. Sounds delicious. People from the north don't understand, you know?
Yeah, they do.
They don't understand what it is to enjoy chilies.
I don't know about that. How far north are you talking?
Even like the northern half of this country.
We use chilies a lot. Here's the thing, you got to understand, our food is changing a lot right now.
What do you mean?
Like, as a culture, we're changing. Whether people like it or not, it's going to be different. The America we live in 20 years, not just from time and things changing as they always do, but, like, the culture is going to be different. We're going to live to see the American culture actually kind of blend, I think, with a lot of other cultures, and it's going to be really neat. Mm-hmm. It does that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because despite what people think, American culture is taking things from every other culture.
Yeah, it's the point of it.
Yeah. Like, even if you don't like it, that's what happens, and it's what's always happened here, and as long as this is here, that's what will occur.
Yeah.
If there is a United States of America in the capacity that we understand it today, other people will come here, and they will bring their things with them, and they will take our things, and they will mix them together, and then their kids will do new things, and it'll be more and more blended and blended and blended. It just keeps getting better and better, so what the fuck is the problem?
Right.
When people are like, I don't remember food trucks. First of all, not a single motherfucker is mad about food trucks.
Right. In reality, nobody fucking they're wonderful.
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
And it's also not new. Food trucks aren't new to the U.S. They're not new to
anything.
Anything. It's already been a thing. But there's just a lot more younger entrepreneurial type people coming from in and out of the country starting restaurants. And then we're getting all these different kinds of food, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But like, it's not even just that. I mean, the amount of like, and this sounds fucking stupid, but the amount of like ethnic mixed couples and shit, and just families, big families in general, like that I come across just working in the mall. Most people that I talk to on a day-to-day basis have a lot of different ethnicities in them. Mm-hmm. It's like one of our favorite things to discuss with people, honestly. Like, like I get it a lot now. People come in, they just recognize something about me as a little Middle Eastern, and they ask, like, you know, like, are you do that thing, you know, and it's like yeah. Then you go back and forth, and it's fun. Unfortunately, I don't really know anything about that side of my heritage, so the conversation kind of stops at, I don't know my dad, but I know I got the features.
Yeah.
But it's like really cool. So I think we're already there, and a lot of people, like, you know, there's like this whole thing where people are acting like white people are gonna die out and just completely disappear, and they're making a big deal out of it.
Right.
And they're little rallies and they march and stuff, but it's not. It's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Nothing fucking matters, man.
It's not. People don't disappear. They just change.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's how white people got here in the first place.
Yeah, we just change, and that's it bothers me when people talk about like.
I didn't mean to steer us into a race debate, but like, you
no,
know,
well, like, that's the thing is that
so
like
annoying.
I understand the idea of like wanting to preserve like culture and heritage and stuff, but like there is no such thing as white culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a such thing as like German, Italian,
European,
French,
different countries.
Even you could say European, like
you could say
Scandinavian
American culture.
Yeah, that exists, but there isn't white culture because white is just the absence of every other culture. White is just what you mean when you say it's not. Guy. There's nothing black. There's nothing Middle Eastern. There's nothing Asian. There's not because even those to say black is a huge diversity of cultures.
There is not a black culture.
Yeah. Well, you could say like even African American.
You could have but that's still. I mean, that's
African American culture is the thing.
African American culture.
But when you say just like black skin in general, you're talking about literally over 1,000 different languages and fucking regions and religions and shit like that.
Everywhere, all over the place,
all over the world. And like, so it would make sense if you say black culture. I can kind of get where you're coming from because
colloquially,
you're usually talking about African American, but even if you're not, you can kind of relate to this or that. But when people talk about white culture, you're just talking about having the absence of these other cultures. And usually you mean some sort of an amalgamation of like whatever weird white tone skin thing you're from that's also totally different than something else and almost always relates to just like a colonial, you know what I mean? Kind of like, it doesn't make any sense.
I know exactly what you mean because this type of shit drives me insane because I'm a complete moron and I still have a better understanding of like history than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's very infuriating.
Because
you're infuriating.
I think the thing that gives you the edge is that you don't think that you're like the main character in the history or your people are the main character in the history.
Yeah, no.
Because that's the way it's presented in American schools.
Well, yeah, it is. Especially like we have a very Western slanted education of history, and it you know it's kind of like one of my favorite things to think about is like Dan Carlin talks about all the time. It's like a fucking when he goes through his long tirade about the ancient like Middle East and Roman cultures and stuff. Like we have these stories about like 300. Right, Roman Greco side of the story. I might be off there, but like you know, it's essentially
the Spartans,
it's the Western, it's the Western point of view of that battle between the Spartans and the Persians. It's a beautiful story, right? Like, we all love it.
Right.
And we all get pumped up about it. But he also points out that there's a Persian side to this story, too.
Yeah.
And it's just as historically important as our Western side with our heroes and our, it's all got, they have a story where a guy goes to fight Leonidas.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. Like, and Xerxes isn't portrayed as this fucking pompous, bitch-ass piece of shit. Because that's not how they saw him.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like fucking, you can do his name, but like...
And it's anybody. It's like, but that's just like one that's really well known. That's one I like to draw from. But it's that's the thing is it's not...
It's not just one-sided.
Yeah.
I was watching a thing about Che Guevara a little while ago, and like that's another one. Every fucking kid who goes to college for one semester gets a Che Guevara shirt as a cost of admission, right? And like there's a lot of people who would see, hey, this dude fucking slaughtered a bunch of indigenous people. He fucking burned villages and everything. And then the other people were like, yeah, well, he was doing what he had to do to help secure this new government that he was forming, because he was also building a bunch of hospitals. He was also helping a bunch of people, and he was also like, he was an absolute hero. And there were also a lot of things.
Historically, are both of these things true?
Yeah, well, I'm pulling things off the top of my head. I don't have the book in front of me, but like
that's what. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but like, yeah,
if you don't know, don't you know?
He was an absolute hero in some regards, and he was could be portrayed as an absolute monster in other regards. And history is not you say this written by the victor, but at the end of the day, there's a tremendous amount of information about him that's contradictory. It seems. Same thing with Lenin.
It's like that with a lot of historical
Lenin
figures.
was a fucking amazing guy who did a bunch of amazing things, had a bunch of amazing ideas, and then you look at certain things where you're like, oh, fuck, this kind of, maybe he actually was a bit of a douche here and there, and the people who followed him certainly weren't good. Stalin was right after Lenin. He was a fucking monster, no question, but, like, would you look at fucking, oh, gosh, who was I thinking of? The point is, anybody who's ever had a statue built of them is one kind of a son of a bitch or another. And, like... You can run these people, through the gauntlet and find all sorts of good and bad things about them, but you have to find, like, whether or not you're going to celebrate them. I think a great example is Columbus. We had Columbus Day in this country because we needed an Italian hero to make people less shitty and racist towards Italians. Yeah. And then it turns out, actually, this guy was a fucking genocidal maniac who raped children and would literally cut your hand off if you didn't bring him enough gold. He was a monster, but he's celebrated because, he was a white guy who came here once. Cool.
Gotta make the Italians look better.
Yeah.
Which is also funny how, like, it's not funny, but it's interesting how every single race, except for, like, really white people, have had to deal with... And white people in the past in the U.S. had to deal with the same shit, so it's like... And then people try to use that as an argument, like, oh, well, everybody's got to go through their getting shit on phase. And it's like, no.
And also, when the fuck is this one going to end for the natives? So when is the getting shit on phase going to be over? Because, like, fuck, dude. Even if you want to pull out, well, the Irish were enslaved. Yeah, the Irish went through some shit where they had really horrible working conditions, all that. It was about a decade of that happening. We're going on 400 years of just fucking the natives.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And, well, here's the thing. I hate to say it, Forrest, but I think the treatment of Native Americans won't end until they're completely eradicated.
That's what the fucking country seems to be going for.
Seems like it, right?
That's what they seem to be doing. Well, that's the thing. Like,
my favorite thing too is people will try to treat it. They're like, what do Native Americans have to complain about? Well, they don't like cars. You don't like cars? We gave you cars.
It's the exact same argument.
You don't like democracy?
Right.
You fucking be thankful.
It's the exact same argument.
Be thankful my grandpa raped your grandma. Go fuck yourself.
It's the exact same argument as when people are like, well, yeah, we had slavery, but, like, we gave them food and shelter and stuff. It's not like they were living in the fucking, like, in Africa. It's like, what? Like, how is that fucking cool?
It's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because that's like, that's the same guy who says, like, oh, well, like, the Jews had food.
Yeah.
In the Holocaust camps, they had food.
We put them in the camps, but they weren't, like, just, tortured in the camps. It was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, it's like, I think, and I may be wrong, but I think it was something I saw Jordan Peterson say one time where he was talking about the Holocaust, and he was trying to talk about it like it It wasn't Jordan Peterson, so I'm going to go ahead and set that straight right now. I don't believe it was him, but it was another podcast in that vein. And
Ben
it was
Shapiro?
some random, no, it was some randoms that I don't know. Even Ben Shapiro, I don't think is stupid enough to try to say this shit. It's dog whistle, dumbass bullshit, right? It's the whole fucking thing is like, they look at the recreational facilities like at Auschwitz and Dachau and stuff.
Yeah.
And they go, see, they had a gymnasium, they had a pool. And it's like, who the fuck do you think was using the pool?
Right, seriously.
Do you think it was the Jews in the concentration camp and the gypsies and the blacks and the people with mental illness and the
people
gays,
that were so emaciated,
the homosexuals,
their skeleton was getting skinnier?
Do you think they were swimming?
Yeah.
Or do you think it was the families of the soldiers who lived there in the nice cabins? Are you people stupid?
Seriously.
It's not even difficult to get this information. If my dumb ass can find this out, then you have no excuse to lean on other than your own racism.
Seriously.
And bullshit propaganda.
That's exactly what it is.
If you want to believe the cock of Hitler that bad that you'll shove it all the way down your throat, go ahead. But don't try to sit here and get me to buy your fucking nonsense.
It's so fucking dumb. And it's so painfully obvious, too. Because you're absolutely right. It is just their cognitive dissonance. They have these racist ideas, and then they see shit that contradicts it, and they're like, oh, no, actually, it must have been quite nice for the people who were slaved, the people in the concentration camp, the people whatever. It must have actually been just fine. It wasn't that bad. Come on, get over. Because they can't say that it didn't happen. That'll be laughed out of fucking. But we can do one step better. And it's the same fucking energy. I can't stand when people compare anything, any part of the vaccine or the COVID response or the shutdowns or the masks, anything. If they compare any part of that to the Holocaust, they're fucking stupid and they should be ashamed of themselves. It's disgusting.
The problem is everybody in America wants to have an oppression. So
they're
bad.
fucking school board members and shit that were going in wearing yellow stars because they're not vaccinated. And now I'm gonna have to wear this, and it's fucking gross. It's just fucking gross. And like I can't get how these are the kind of things that we're like. I know this is a bullshit argument, and I know I make it a lot, and I know it sucks, but like I cannot handle that these are the things that we're still having to do. We're still having to talk about.
The thing is things have gotten so good for normal people that this is all they have left to try to fucking bitch about.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like honestly,
they're so used to getting their way in every single little situation all the time that they can't handle the fact like, oh hey, we might have to put some shit on hold for a bit. We might have to change the way we live. What are these people gonna do if aliens fucking land? And we have to fucking don't go outside for a while until we figure out what all these ships in the sky want. You know, like you need to stay in your home. Well, I know what they're gonna do, right? I know they're gonna be like, it's gonna be like Independence Day. They're gonna be on top of the fucking building. They're gonna get zapped. Yeah. But like, hopefully the aliens don't zap us. But you know, it's like it's just shit like that. It's like how do you, when you're dealing with a situation that we haven't really faced before. Sometimes you take precaution. And even, here's the thing. Even if COVID had turned out to be completely harmless, and it was like, oh, we just jumped the gun on it, it wasn't that bad, we're going to open everything back up, everything's fine. I would much rather have gone through that where they closed everything down for a little bit. Yeah. And then we realized, oh, it's fine. Yeah. And everybody's fine. Nobody's dying from it. Okay, cool. I would rather do that and be inconvenienced for a little bit than like what we've got now. Exactly. Which here's the thing, most people still, like half the country still thinks there's nothing going on. Yeah. And that's what fucking kills me. Is the amount of people who are still up here. Yeah. The amount of people that are still out here genuinely saying that this is just like the flu, if it exists at all. And I'm like, are you, how can you think that? How can you seriously be that fucking ignorant that you aren't just looking around you at all? You know what I mean? Like you just know how it works here. Here we're a little bit like where we're at. We're kind of removed from it. A little bit but it's not because we don't have it affecting us. We're removed from it in Oklahoma because our policymakers and the people in power genuinely don't give a shit. Like we have some of the worst numbers in the country, and what pisses me off to no end. Them really. Well, they don't fucking talk about it. They don't care. Does the local news here talk about it at all? Nobody fucking cares. Here, there's a COVID testing site right now at the mall that you can go see, and I haven't seen anybody drive through. Yeah. Which, to be fair, like if you have your vaccine, you're probably good. So it's probably it's not going to be as much, right? People getting tested. But the problem is, like, nobody's doing it. The numbers right now of like cases per day, of deaths per day, are way worse than when we went into lockdown. We went into lockdown for like, what was it? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks almost.
And like it was the numbers were nothing compared to what they are now, and now we're all just like, this is fine, it's whatever, and it's like
we're not gonna do it again.
That's what pisses me off so much is that like we have these world leaders who are all like, oh, what are we gonna do about climate change, and what are we gonna do about COVID, and what are we gonna maybe if you remembered that you are indeed world leaders, you would just do literally anything about it. Instead of just sitting here like, fuck.
They have to worry about all their business obligations. They have to worry about all the money that they brought in on the last campaign. They also have to worry about all the dumbass fucking constituents they've tricked into a bunch of propaganda.
That honestly, like...
Do you ever think like a lot of Republicans and Democrats as well, but I'm just going to specifically pick on the Republicans for this point. Do you think they ever look at like their situation they're in and their rabid fucking constituency and they're like, damn, we like fucked up. Now we can't do shit that even we want to do.
Yeah. I don't think that they fucking put it together. I don't think either side does. And that's not to say that both sides are equally bad. Holy fuck, conservatives are way, way worse. But like the whole thing with like...
Democrats are a mess.
They are a
Jeb
mess.
is a mess.
They are an absolute mess. And honestly, like that's the one thing even if like, I know I've talked about this before, like, I voted for Biden because it was a literal turd sandwich would have been a better option than what we had. But, like, the one thing I will never fucking forgive, never fucking forget, never let Biden off the hook for is the fact that he did not immediately, like, the second he took his hand off the Bible being sworn in, march up and grab a pen and fucking close the detention centers and fucking put everybody back into lockdown and end this fucking pandemic in a day. If he had any balls at all, he could have just been like, all right, we're going to act like a fucking country, and we're going to do this and knock it out. And if people are going to revolt, they're going to fucking revolt. I do not care. We're going to fucking save lives. We are going to get children out of cages. We are going to now end this. It's over. There is no more argument. It's done. And that would have been an actual move that an actual leader could have actually made. But instead, at least we're back to the same spineless bullshit that America's been for the past little while, where we're only tough and fiery when we're dealing with brown people on the other side of the world. You know what I mean? At least we're back to the status quo being fucking worthless dicks. We really do have that
thing where we like talk a lot of shit on the phone.
Yeah.
And then like...
Yeah. We got our $1 billion a week kill brown people habit, and then right now, we're here at home, it's like, do whatever you want to do. You know, they're rounding up the insurrectionists, the people who stormed the Capitol. They're getting like 8 months in jail.
Well, what are you really gonna do?
Fucking throw them in prison or hang them for treason. It would be rad.
No, can't do that because then that'll inspire a lot of other shit.
I don't fucking care.
You gotta care.
You gotta set an example.
No, you don't set an example.
Because the fact of the matter is,
remember whenever we were getting the Democrats and the people protesting like for like women's rights and shit, were getting fucking black bagged and thrown in vans and taken away for a few days and then brought back.
Yeah, during the 2020.
There were just as many people saying you should just kill him. Blah 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 blah.
Oh no,
I don't agree with either of you.
I'm not saying.
No, I don't agree. Here's the thing. I don't like the people that storm the Capitol. They are terrorists in my eyes. They are traitors in my eyes because I never once, when Trump was in office, thought about storming the Capitol and removing him from office in a way that is not voting.
Yeah.
Because I respect the fucking process. Mm-hmm. So, like, never crossed my mind.
Right.
That being said, I think you got to understand when people are being driven by forces larger than them.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And
yeah, no, they were whipped up. They're in a cult.
Throw those fucking people in prison or like hang them. Do I think they need jail time? Yeah. A little 8 months. I think something, just some reality. Because most of these people, they don't even know what jail is like. So.
What I'm saying is, if a
I'm
person...
just saying using some strong language is all.
I am using some strong language. You're correct. I shouldn't have said hang them for trees, and that is extreme. But I stand by throw them in prison for longer than 8 months because we have people right now that are in jail for years and years and years for lying about where they live so their kid could go to a better school.
Oh yeah,
those
people need to be released immediately. Any of the cases where like a mom got put in prison for lying to get a better school district for her kids, like I don't understand how the judge could be like. The most you should be able to do in that is like, whoa, now you're going to be in the right district.
Yeah,
bang the gavel, let him go.
Yeah, if a mother is genuinely convinced that God is telling her to kill her kids, and she does, she still goes to prison forever. Because even though she was strongly convinced of this thing, and she did it for what she thought was a good reason, she still committed murder. These people are in a cult. And I agree that they were lied to, and I agree that they were manipulated. They still did something that was fucked up, and they need to pay the consequences for it.
Did they kill anybody? Their one guy got shot or something?
Yeah, I believe they killed a police officer and somebody else. And then 8 of their own.
If they can figure out who was actually personally responsible for killing that guy, or if they can get the group of people who was there when he died, I think they should face some real consequences.
And you even see the police officers that testified, and it shows their body cam footage, they were trying to kill more of them. There was that one officer that was mobbed, and you heard one guy in the crowd yelling, "Kill him with his own gun! Kill him with his own gun!" Like, they were trying to kill more police officers. They were trying to overthrow the entire government. They came there with a plan to lynch Mike Pence, and it's just. They were there to cause damage.
Once they got inside, they forgot what their fucking goal was and just started taking around.
Selfies. Yeah,
yeah, but because they're Americans,
right? It was shockingly easy to do real damage to our Congress, and that, I can't get over that shit. I think those people need to be severely punished. And I think that we need to take a serious look at...
I think some real shit went down while those people were running around, and I think that was the whole point. Mm. But that's pure speculation.
Yeah, you mean some sort of deep government conspiracy boy?
Maybe not like that, because I still think it had something to do with Trump. But I think the Russians got some shit from us.
Oh, fucking, well, that's always happening.
I think I just think some secrets went out. Now, granted, he was trading secrets for money.
Trump on the campaign trail against Clinton said, "Hey, if any Russian hackers are watching this and can help me, please hack her emails and send them my way so I can win this election." He said it on national television. I want Russia to hack our shit, and we still were like, "Nah, that's cool."
Well, I don't remember I saying that. I never said that.
You never said that.
I was like, "Whoa." Calm down, Trump. But it's just that's pretty insane. It is really scary to think about. I've pushed the whole Capitol thing way back in my mind. Mm-hmm. Probably just because of how scary it is. Here's the thing: is I know that things can happen at any moment. The government could just be gone. Yeah. I could wake up and a bunch of armed insurrectionists have taken over the Capitol. It could happen.
It can happen.
It's pretty crazy that would happen here, but it's possible. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of systems in place that kind of prevent things from that from happening, but they're not.
You think so, but look what the fuck happened.
Yeah, but what were they really going to accomplish?
Right? Well, that's what I'm saying. If they weren't fucking frenzied gerbils that were whipped up into a cult, they could have actually done a lot more. If a bunch of fucking illiterate, backwards rednecks hyped up on patriotism were able to do that, then what would happen if you actually had a half-intelligent force of people who really had a goal?
But they went easy on them. And they went easy on them the whole time until they got inside, and then the cops had to do their fucking sworn duty.
And they didn't do it much. I guess there were a lot of actual heroes that were doing things in there, but there were also a lot of cops that were fucking helping. And that's the problem, when you see these the Proud Boys marches, half the reason why they don't get the attention, because when we're out here saying Black Lives Matter, huge police response. When we're the water protectors, huge police response. People being beaten and crazy. When the Proud Boys are out there marching, there isn't a big police response because half the fucking people out there are police officers. They're in there with them. There's been, and that's not fucking shitty speculation. There are actually a lot of Pentagon and FBI reports
specifically FBI.
Yes, that show that police forces across America have been infiltrated by white supremacist groups.
The FBI has been issuing reports for years
Yeah.
about this, and as far as I can tell, nothing.
And presidents on both sides of the aisle have just been like, "Oh, we need more cops. Get a cop on every corner. It'll be great." And Clinton was all about that. We'll have a cop on every corner and America will be safe.
Clinton actually, for any of the good he did at least 2 bads.
Exactly. And so it's you have the data to show why this is a bad idea. He did work on the
deficit.
For sure, yeah.
He did get that deficit
Played a mean saxophone. Good for him.
A mean saxophone. Fucked a Lewinsky or two.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Was a fucking bootlicker like nobody else. But
Loved it. Loved the boot.
Loved the boot.
Loved the boot. He's a good old Arkansas boy, right? Isn't he from Arkansas?
I believe so, yeah. That's the problem, man. Is we have too many people in this country.
Too many people from Arkansas. No, I'm just kidding.
Too many
I
people
actually
from
had
Arkansas.
a customer from Arkansas today, and he was a very nice man. He was polite.
Like it's hard because like I get a lot of like on TikTok or whatever, I'll see videos. People are showing these police officers doing some horrible thing, which is every other fucking video. There's that video that was viral a couple of weeks ago of a guy who they had him handcuffed and he was sitting on the ground, and another officer was like holding him, and a second officer came up and just fucking stomped on his face. And it's like, he is handcuffed and on the ground. And there's people in the comments like, well, he resisted back when they were handcuffing him. He was resisting then. He was non-compliant then. I'm like, you're fucking just, your favorite ice cream flavor is boot. Like, why are you so defending this thing?
It's over.
If someone is not currently a threat and you are still attacking them, you are a coward.
No, but they will do it every time. They'll attack a man, a woman, a child. They don't give a fuck. It's because we don't train them properly.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like
it takes.
Here's the thing. Like anybody I know who has been involved in law enforcement, like I love you, but you also know I'm gonna have these problems until they get fucking fixed. Because I never back down on this shit. It's not okay. It's not okay. Your job is to serve and protect. I understand it's a dangerous job. I understand you're putting your life on the line for people. I mean, like, I have family in law enforcement and I worry about them. So, like, I understand the blue stripe thing.
Yeah.
I just unfortunately have this anti-authoritarian streak that will not allow me to calm down until the authorities stop killing people and beating the fuck out of them for no reason. I know people on both sides of this argument.
Yeah.
So you're not going to change my mind.
It takes, like, well, the thing is, two things.
You might change my mind, but, like, it's not going to be the way you think.
Right. 2 things. 3 things. We'll do 3 things.
Yeah.
The first one is, if you have 100 cops in a room and one of them is corrupt and is beating people and doing all this other stuff,
it's too many.
And then the other 99 don't report that and don't stop that, you have 100 corrupt bad cops in that room. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there is no such thing as a good cop in a system that allows this kind of abuse and protects this kind of abuse.
And that's the thing is,
you have these videos where, like,
is bad.
Right. Well, you have the people saying like, "Oh, it's just a few bad apples," but in all of these videos of this thing, it's one cop is punching this person, tasing this person, hurting this person, while 5 other cops are watching, and they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, that one bad cop." No, that's 6 bad cops. They're all watching him do it. They're all in on it. If nobody's stopping it, because he's breaking the law too, apparently. Like, that's a problem. Second thing is that, like, we don't have, like, all the resources they need to do things because we put every fucking job on them. So we don't have social workers going out there helping.
So this
we don't
comes
have mental
back
health care
to
workers out there
defund the
helping.
police, right?
Yeah.
So people are when they were saying defund the police, let's break this down real quick because a lot of people are like, "Well, you defund the police." I don't really necessarily think we should defund the police. I think we should stop giving them military-grade fucking weapons in small-town America where they don't need a fucking APC tank. Like, they don't need this shit.
It's defunding them. It's taking away all this extra money and extra equipment and all this shit and putting it into programs that actually fucking help instead of just, we're going to go shoot anything that looks bad. And that's the whole problem. That's the whole system. And that's the problem is that, like, the third thing is it takes over 800 hours more training to become a hairdresser than it takes to become a police officer. Average training time in America for it to become a police officer is a little over 600 hours. Average training to become a hairdresser is 1,500 hours.
That's the thing, too.
If you have to train for 800 more hours to cut someone's hair legally than to carry a gun and shoot someone legally, there's a fucking problem.
It just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. If we had adequate training, maybe there would be time in there for, hey, instead of you have 6 weeks at the academy, most of that is how to use mace, how to use a gun, how to use a taser, how to use handcuffs, and also you're expected to be an expert in civil liberties and all the laws and everything.
Yeah, so
and you have 6 months. Maybe if we had all that training, we could actually trust them. We don't, so we can't.
All the best police officers I have dealt with on a one-to-one encounter have always been the older ones who have had more time on the job because they've seen the actual bad shit by now, so they know what a real bad person looks like or a real problem looks like.
Yeah.
They are usually expert communicators, almost, like at least with calming people down.
Yeah.
And they use very sweeping and non-threatening gestures to communicate with somebody who is like outraged.
Yeah.
And they've developed these skills almost on their own, on the job, over like 20 or more years.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is get that shit front loaded.
Right.
It needs to be front loaded.
Because that's skills they've picked up, but you could actually train it in like a quarter of the time. But then furthermore,
you couple that, you train them better at de-escalation, and then couple that, and obviously there's more that has to go into this, but you couple that with having other response forces.
Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly.
And like, here's another thing. You can send a cop with one of these response teams to back them up if shit gets hairy.
Yeah.
The cop can sit there. You can have a word that the therapist or psychiatrist will say, hey, you know, we're going to have to handcuff. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to restrain him. Mm-hmm. Like, it's possible.
Yep.
It's possible. So if it's possible, then why can't we try it?
Yep.
You know, like, why do we have to just accept the system as it is and don't break any laws and you won't get any trouble? Sometimes you break a law on accident.
Yeah.
Does anybody ever fucking think about that?
Yep.
If my taillight's out, I don't want to be immediately beaten to death. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
What if you don't know that your taillight's out and you're African American, so you're used to being stopped for no fucking reason, and you're late to work, and your kid got in trouble at school today, so he got sent home before you even got to work. So you're supposed to go. You know, these are problems I deal with all the time. If a cop pulled me over, I might be a little bit frustrated. Now, I'm going to reel myself in because I'm used to just, like, I know what to, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to rely very heavily on this little thing I've got called white privilege.
Yeah.
Where even though I have some Middle Eastern in me, and you can tell, most people, especially white people, have no idea. They just see a white guy.
Right.
They just see a white guy. They don't know. And especially law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And, like, so I've been fortunate in that. You ever been pulled over in a car with your black friend?
Right.
It's a completely different situation. It's almost like they like just having a black friend removes some of your white privilege.
Seriously.
Like, the fuck?
They're like, excuse me, are you being fucking kidnapped?
Like, they're like, hello, sir, how are you this evening? Hello, African American in the passenger seat.
Let me have your ID.
Is he supposed to be in here with you? Do you feel safe? It's like, what the fuck? It's like, I have more weed on me than he does.
Have you seen those it's like the black babysitter babysitting the white kids, and the police like fucking take them out of the car and like handcuff them, and just like, why do you have these shoulders? Like, I'm their fucking nanny, dude.
That shit's really weird. Stuff like that happens all the time. Black fathers with white children.
Yeah.
Like, you know, one of my best friend, like acquaintance, coworker guys, I hardly talk to him anymore, but I love him to death. But his daughter is white. She looks like just like him, but she's just white, like her mom. She's just like perfectly white. It's hilarious. It's hilarious how genetics works. Because like I have another friend who's got his son is African American because his mom was African American, but the dad is white. My friend's a white guy, and so his son just looks like a little like African American version of him. It's just like, it's adorable.
Yeah.
But like, it's whatever. But they've talked to me about, like, in public, the looks they get, the reactions they get, because their kid is a different skin color than them. And it's just like, it's stupid. But like, especially with my black friend, because his daughter is a little white girl, and so he's like this black dude with dreads walking around a grocery store with his daughter, and people are always like mean mugging him and shit. And it's like, I can't imagine what that's like. Because I get to go to the store with my kids, and usually people aren't looking at me weird.
Yeah.
You know, because they all look relatively the same.
Yeah.
But like, even if they don't, like, what's the big fucking deal? There's so many kinds of families out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, at this point, I mean, in our lifetime, we'll finally be able to, hopefully, unless something horrible happens, we'll start seeing like same-sex couples that have been able to adopt.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what doesn't...
And I know it's going to be horrible for them and their kids. Because there's still going to be so much bigotry.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with giving kids a home to live in. And two people who love them and want to see them have a good life. Like,
It bothers the fuck out of me, because like that's the one thing I don't understand is the amount of people who still don't get that everybody isn't the same, and that's not going to be cookie cutter all the time, and that we're not going to stick to our tribe and all this fucking shit. The sheer amount of people who don't understand the concept of diversity, and that like people are different, and that families are there's a million different ways to have a family, there's a million different ways to love, there's a million different ways to be a person, and they're like, no, this is the thing that I did, so this is what everybody does. Just I don't get how that's a thing in the century where we're all able to talk to each other and be around each other.
Yeah, see, and here's the thing. I can understand the knee-jerk reaction that people have to things that are different or not what they're familiar with.
Sure.
Because I have developed more of a response at this point where I don't do that.
Yeah.
But there was a time in my life when I was like that, where somebody would tell me something, I'd be like, "What? That's weird. That's weird." Or I don't like that's weird. I don't like it. It's different.
Yeah.
You know? I was a fucking kid.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. As an adult, I've really strayed from that. Like, usually if I don't understand something on the first take, that just means I need to look into it more, is what I try to think about. You know, like, I remember when I used to not really grasp the gender issue very well. I still have problems, like, understanding exactly what everything means. But as far as the general idea of, like, non-gender normative things, I get it now pretty well. You know? Like, people are just doing what they want, and they're just expressing themselves the way they feel, and like that makes sense to me, and it's kind of started to sink in, and I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine. And I've been like that for a while now. This isn't like a new thing. It's just the point I come back to, because that was something that I struggled with at first. Like I was one of those people making those jokes. Like, oh, well, there's so many genders. Look at this list of genders. I pulled up an image on
right.
Oh, 500 genders.
Yeah.
So stupid. There's only 2 genders. and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, there's probably like 1 million now that I think about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and
it's fun when you're young. You can oversimplify. You know what I mean?
And it helps you break down shit you don't understand. But
right.
But then if you stay that way into your 30s, you're stupid.
Exactly.
So, like,
no, I totally get it, because I did the exact same shit for a lot of things. Where I was like, oh, you know, I did the same thing about emotions. I did the same thing about, I looked down on therapy. I looked down on
I used to fucking,
and,
anytime somebody, I was like, depression is for fucking weak people.
Exactly,
and
yes.
now here I am with depression.
Right.
I used to not understand anxiety attacks until I had one.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like I had all those things, and I said all that dumb shit, and I believed all that dumb shit, and then I grew the fuck up. And what bothers me is the amount of adults, amount of people our age and older, that still haven't grown the fuck up.
Well, they're getting set. They're getting set in their ways already.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad.
I hope I never get set in my ways.
We will.
I don't want to.
We will.
I don't want a year to go by where I'm not different. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. This is a stupid example, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Like, You know how we talk shit on Halo 4?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's because we love the originals, because that's what we grew up with.
Because they were objectively better.
There's a whole generation of kids out there. Halo 4 was their first game.
Yeah.
And they love it.
Right.
They love the story. They love the characters. They love the cinematography. They think it's fine.
Right.
And they don't understand what the fuck we're bitching about. And it's like that with a lot of shit. Like, you have to understand the new generation doesn't need to adhere to your standards completely. It's fine to say, you know, here's some advice, or here's a different way to think about it, or here's how I'm looking at it. You know, it's fine. Talk to them. Guide them a little bit. Don't force them into your box.
Right.
They're not going to go into your box, just like we didn't go into our parents' boxes.
Then thank God, because fucking my parents' boxes were lame as fuck.
The next generation is going to be different from us, and some people... there's going to be things about the next generation that you and I will probably find kind of silly. You know?
Yeah.
We won't completely understand it.
Yeah.
I hope at the least, at the minimum, we can maintain the compassion that we try to hold on to for people.
What makes me happy is that,
it's like, even though it's different, and even though I might not fully understand it,
I want to hear you out.
I can still find a way to relate, and I still think that you're not wrong just because you're different.
Well, and I think that's what's going to make us successful, insofar as, like, not being set in our ways, and not being old fuddy-duddies, and not being the our generation's equivalent of a boomer later on.
Okay, Forrest, if you don't want to do the OnlyFans, just fucking say it. I'm tired of this runaround.
I think you and I are going to continue, like, at least hearing people out, and even if we don't, because, like, I'm not going to get involved in a lot of things, but I want to understand it. Like, we've made the reference to lingo before. I'm never going to talk about, like, oh, this tea is bussin'. You know, I'm never going to talk like that, because that's not for me. It would be like my dad.
I've picked up bussin', but right now it's still in the ironic phase. But if that means in like 3 more months I'll be saying it. Like,
right.
It's part of my vocabulary.
But like that's the same thing as if my dad ever came up to me in school and was like, "Oh, isn't this cool?" I'd be like, "You don't know what cool means." You know what I mean? Like whatever.
Actually, your dad would know what cool means.
I think he didn't know what it meant, but he didn't use it.
Yeah, but people have been using cool for a while. Well, that's because your dad had that foreign mystique going on.
His English was his second language. Yeah. But like I'm just saying, like it's
Gazels.
I at least want to understand Gazels.
It's my favorite thing I ever heard him say.
Yeah.
It's one of my things. It's there was a lot of other shit he said to me that was cool.
Yeah.
But like
calling glasses Gazels.
Yeah, but whenever he was like, I can't find my Gazels. I just liked it because just based on how it sounded, I was able to figure out what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Gazels.
Gazels, yo.
That's cool.
But like we have a million inside jokes from when we were kids, and and
that was one of them.
And those are gonna rock for the rest of our lives, and they're not gonna mean anything to anybody else.
No,
as far as like because the timing is all wrong. And same thing with kids, nowadays. What makes me happy is that like because information is spreading so much faster, trends I feel like are also moving faster.
Yeah.
And so like I swear to God, in less than a year, the whole pointing at your elbow, the whole ice in my veins thing, that's kind of gone by the wayside. The whole sheesh thing, that's gone by the wayside.
It all goes
and those
fast.
were like fucking like the quintessential like, oh, you're a fucking Gen Z because you're doing these things, I can tell. And now those are just not important anymore.
No.
And like I feel like that would have been a trend that would have lasted at least 5 years at our
Another
age.
thing too, right? Another thing I like to point out with these conversations is like when we're talking about the next up generation behind us, like I don't think it's fair to take every single thing they're saying right now and be like, oh, that's how they're going to be for the rest of their lives.
No, they're trying things
like,
on.
That would be like if somebody took a snapshot of me in like 2012 and they were like, oh, this dude is going to be like anti-feminist and anti-gender fluid. Like, I don't know the words, but anti all this shit for the rest of his life. And then like a few years later, I had already shifted completely away from that type of thinking.
Yeah.
Because I realized pretty quickly after taking it all in, which is what I do, it's bad, but it's how I do things. I kind of take an information dump inside myself.
Yeah.
What a gross way to say that. and then it mulls around for a long time. And then I take what I think is good and I throw the rest away.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the gender issue. I took in all this different content, all these different points of view, went through it over and over and over and over and over again in my head. And ultimately, the biggest thing was kind of the libertarian streak in me where I went, well, does it bother anybody? Does it hurt anybody else for them to be this way? And I was like, no. And I was like, well, then at least that part's fine.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I don't care about. Okay, so that's 1 point for them. Right? And then the next thing was I started to ask myself, how would I feel? Because I've actually felt before in my life like maybe, and it was because somebody said something when I was way too young about somebody being born the wrong gender and having like hormone therapy and stuff.
Yeah.
And I latched onto it when I was a kid, and I had these ideas for a while. I was like, what if I was supposed to be a girl? And I'm like, not, and then like later I realized like it was all stupid, right? Like I was born correctly, and this is how I identify as a man. It's fine. I like it. It's what I want. There's other things about my personality that are different, which is another thing. Like with the gender fluid thing, it's like it's crazy because like I know you know me, so you know there's been plenty of times when I've expressed myself in a quite a flamboyant manner, right, and then a lot of other times I'm very reserved.
Yeah.
Sometimes I even cross over into stoicism.
Yeah.
Barely.
Right.
I'm not you. But like I branch into that. Like when there's a true crisis happening with my family, there's a different Ben that kind of comes on.
Yeah.
Online. Like he's a different guy. It's still me. I don't have multiple personality disorder or anything.
Right. You just have different
sides.
But
I have a
yourself,
compartmentalized personality to an extent. So like when my grandma's house burned down, that wasn't this Ben. That was professional, stoic, I can handle anything Ben.
Right.
And what's crazy is I don't get to call on that part of myself enough. It literally only comes out when I need it.
Right.
It's just there when I need it. It's something, I think even my wife has talked about it, where she's like, I don't understand like when you switch to like crisis mode and you just start handling shit. And I'm like, I don't know either. Like how it works. I have no idea how it works.
It's the survival mode from, having a rough upbringing. It's you learn how to handle your shit.
And I completely fucking derailed this whole thing talking about my life. But basically the whole point I wanted to make is that like don't judge these fucking kids too harshly about what they're talking about right now while they're going from high school to college or whatever job or trade school or just living in their parents' house trying to figure out the next 2 years of life or finding their first apartment. Don't be too hard on these fucking kids, y'all.
They're trying on new ideas. They're learning about themselves. They're trying on new personalities. They're doing the same thing that you and we all did.
And also, don't be mad. Go ahead.
I was going to say.
I can remember. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, like, you understand that they're learning and they're trying on these ideas and they're exploring their own minds and everything. Remember what it was like when you were their age.
Exactly.
But do not, under any circumstances, say, you'll understand when you're older, you'll change your mind and you're older, all that, because that is unbelievably patronizing, and you're probably fucking wrong too, you asshole.
Right. And just because you do grow in understanding as you age, or you should at least. Right? Your mind is going to change, you're going to develop and grow, but it doesn't make you like a better person.
Right. Like that's the thing. Like there are some things that when I was 18, I still hold on to this day.
Yeah.
And if someone said, you'll change your mind when you're older, it's been over a decade, haven't. But there are also a lot of things, more things than anything, that I have changed, and like that's the whole point. That's growing up. That's part of it. That's part of life. But if anybody ever fucking says to me like I remember I thought the same way when I was your age, and you're gonna change your mind when you're older. Fuck you. Yeah. Like you don't know shit about me. And you don't know what my life is. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know why I think the way I think. Like it's
just weird to me that our generation seems.
Somebody said that to me this week, and I almost lost it.
You're mad. They're getting. No, you're fine. But it seems like they're getting this treatment where it's like I just want to say don't fucking be mad.
Yeah.
That the next generation is kicking open the door that our generation left cracked.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we said, hey, maybe it can be this way.
Yeah.
And they're running with it.
Well, because that's the thing, man, is that when you and I grew up, we were in this age of the dawn of the age of information. We were able to communicate. We were able to think. We were able to kind of branch out. And we were raised by people who have been raised by people that said, this is the way it is. Just grow up, take care of yourself, get your head out of the clouds, fucking you just accept things the way they are, don't ask questions.
Yeah, and then they
said it to us.
They did, but they went the wrong way with it. They were like, you can do anything, and like
you're a beautiful special flower, but don't fucking question authority.
Don't question authority. Follow all the rules, and we're also not going to give you any like tools you need to like do anything that you want to do. But like,
and so our generation has been working our asses off to make this beautiful idea a reality. And now we've got Gen Z coming in, growing up from our example, and a lot of Gen Z is being raised by us as well, and they're fucking crazy as shit, and it's great. And what's awesome is that all the fucking depression and anxiety and weight and horror that was put on us is magnified on them, and so they don't give a good goddamn about anything. And like it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I think that their momentum and our fucking experience, I feel like we can actually really make a change in this world.
And ultimately, you got to also realize if they have bad ideas that aren't going to pan out, then they won't pan out.
Exactly.
So don't worry
why
about
not fucking try it? Because clearly this isn't working.
It's like the thing with like the freaking out about cancel culture. Like, is there kind of a cancel culture going on? Like, you could maybe argue that, but at the end of the day, like, I think a lot of that will kind of wash away over the decades, and we'll still have people left who were genuine.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously you should be careful what you say, because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, right? Like, if you're a decent person, you just don't want to do it. But I still truly believe, like, if you're genuine in everything you do, and you're honest, and you at least make that good faith attempt to try to, like, at least bridge the divide. You don't have to completely assimilate each other to bridge the divide and like come to an understanding. And we're very separated from that idea right now, just as a people. Like, I don't think I'll ever understand everything about some of these issues being brought up, especially with like sexuality. Not completely.
Yeah.
But that's because I hardly understand my own sexuality.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's because human sexuality is confusing as fuck. That's what it is.
It's the same reason why I'm not going. I can read a bunch of books. I can talk to a bunch of people. I can do everything in my power to like understand the experience of being a black person in this country. I'm never going to understand.
Yeah, we'll never actually.
I'm never going to have a good.
So this was actually, that's a watershed moment in my understanding of like racial issues, was when I finally figured out. And it's stupid to say figured out, but that's what it was. For me individually, I figured out, I was like, oh. Like, because I am very good at empathy, right? Like
Right.
I'm pretty good at putting myself in somebody else's shoes. So the idea of someone saying like you'll never understand what it's like to be me was kind of annoying at first because
Right.
I was like I work really hard to empathize with
Right.
people. Go fuck yourself. And then I realized that what it actually meant.
Yeah.
Which is like I can walk in someone's shoes, I can't walk in their skin.
Exactly.
You know, like I can understand to a certain point, but I can't live it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel it's the same way with sexuality. It's the same way with gender. It's the same way with everything. And also, I know we've touched on this a million times, but I feel like it's always important to put out there. Intersectionality is a big part of it as well. Is that
It
even,
is.
even
I
if
didn't understand the word intersectionality for so long. I was like, what the fuck is this? It looks like
Yeah.
a horrible mess and people are drawing these graphs. Now that I have a better understanding of it,
Yeah.
I'm like, of course.
even if
Of
I
course
could,
all these issues are connected. Of
yeah,
course.
even if I could understand what it meant to be black, and even if I could understand what it meant to be a woman, it's a whole other thing now to say to be a black woman. That's a whole new thing. That's like, fuck, it's crazy. There's a really cool TikToker that I'm following recently. She's a black gay woman, and she talks about like, you know, it's already when a man is take charge and outspoken and all say these considered assertive and dominant and go getter and all this. When a woman has the same trait, she's bitchy and she's obnoxious and she's annoying. If it's a black woman, she's angry and she's
angry,
fucking crazy
yeah.
and all these things. And she's like, there's just problem after problem after problem as you continue to go down the line to me, because then you also throw in gay in there and oh, she's this fucking radical feminist fucking, oh, she's just fucking up in arms about all her gender and oh, everything has to be queer this and queer that and all. And it's like, no, you're having the exact same qualities, the exact same traits that you value in a white man, in a white straight man, that now you have filter after filter after filter of things you don't like that you're passing this through, and you're coming up with all these new words. It's a fascinating discussion, and I would love to talk about it more next time, because it is about time for us to wrap up. I'm gonna give you. Do you have time? I'll talk about this. I was gonna see
Chicago dogs.
if you had time to read. We started with fucking hot dogs. On
I
this
got
one.
time. Well, that's what the patrons wanted, and the patrons always get what they want.
Every single time, except for all the times they don't.
Except for me, I'm married. Sorry, patrons.
Let me know.
I do love you, though.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting everything.
Let me know if you have ever read or seen
A book.
a book.
No, go ahead.
Cyrano de Bergerac. Because
Spit that out there one more time, good sir.
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah, is one of my favorite stories when I was a kid, and they've made like 50 different adaptations. It's a play, so it's
You're my Wilson, bro.
My Wilson.
Yeah, from Home Improvement. You know?
Yeah, I know.
It was a great show starring a horrible man. Fucking... back when conservatism was just funny and innocuous. Innocuous. Did I say innocuous? I did.
Innocuous rift.
back when conservatism could prevent disease.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, Cyrano de Bergerac's awesome, and it's been made into like a bunch of different things. Steve Martin made a remake of it. There was like a Disney Channel original movie that was a remake of the Steve Martin remake of it, and they're all named Roxanne or Roxy or something like that, which is another character in there that's really important and it's all bullshit, and they all do the same tropes, and nobody fucking knows what it is, and like once every generation they remake this fucking play, and it's worse every time, and people are like, oh, this is a quirky new idea, and it's the same fucking play. So if you know what I'm talking about and it pisses you off too, leave a comment.
And this all comes back to, this is why you gotta leave the next generation some room to breathe.
Yeah.
Because they haven't seen your shitty book yet, and they don't know about it.
It's a great one, dude.
They do know about Steve Martin. How many people who listen to our podcast know who Steve Martin is without doing a Google search?
I fucking loved Steve Martin when I was a kid. He's awesome.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
You still love him?
Yeah.
How many of our listeners have seen the movie The Jerk?
That's a great film.
It actually is. It actually is like kind of subtly aware of like a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like,
it makes fun. I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe I'll look back at it and
I'm
find
sure,
like, oh shit, there's some horrible thing in there.
No. I'm sure there is something in that movie that like wouldn't fly today because of how old it is.
Yeah.
But like that's why you got to take art you got to remember when it was made.
Well, it's just like the whole part in there where he's like, you're talking to an N-word, you know what I mean? Like, that would probably be heavily criticized, but it was the same kind of feel as like Blazing Saddles. It was making fun of the racism, and it was the same kind of thing. So like, these are all things that were...
He meant it.
Right.
When he was angry about the use of that word, he was legitimately angry.
Yeah.
Because his family...
was black. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Anyway.
It's a good movie.
Have an awesome day. Go watch The Jerk with Steve Martin.
And if there's offensive stuff, you just remember that it came from a time when we were offensive.
Have an awesome week, everybody. See you next time.
He did a song called King Tut that is not very good.
It's not good at all.
But it's still funny.
Bye.